Children and adults, good afternoon everybody. Today we've been blessed with the weather. It's stopped raining for the wedding, which is going to be the first thing. I've made a few notes. I thought I'd done a font big enough I could actually read, but unfortunately those are going on. So, it's just for the notes, that's all. Traditionally, as father of the bride, I speak first, which is a pleasure. Obviously, it would be to welcome family and friends to the wedding, but as it turned out, it is only family. So friends, there are. But it would be welcoming all the friends and thanking them for coming to honour Mark and Danielle's day. As it's close family and very close friends, that seems a bit out the window, but it's lovely to see you all here. Danielle's new extended family. I know she's been around for a few years with you all, but it's great now. We can all say we're family. Even the friends, I think, are family as much as anything. Jenny has been part of Danielle's life as far as we can remember. I think Danielle and Mark don't go back quite so many years, but I think they were extremely close as best mates. So definitely is family. So really, I've got to say a few words about Danielle. With Danielle, I don't think just a few words would ever cover it, but I've tried to condense it. So she's the second of our lovely two daughters, Jay being the elder one, Danielle come along. Danielle Chelsea Rogers, I don't think she's ever forgiven me for that. Being a southerner, I am a Chelsea fan, so sorry if I offend too many people. The name come up, we went to the registry office to actually get her registered as a baby, and just on cue she needed feeding. So Karen stayed in the car to feed her while I went to the registry office myself, and I changed the name that we'd agreed on. So she's been blessed with the name Chelsea. I did change the spelling, put a Y at the end instead of an A, so yeah, not to make it too obvious, but I don't think he's ever forgiven me for that, but there you go. Now, of the two girls, Jade was fairly quiet and a great little girl, you know, little girly girl. Then Danielle come along. A little bit different, I guess, in a lot of ways. Very active, very sporty. You wouldn't believe it now, but you know, she was very sporty.
Very girly and beautiful, Danielle.
So yeah, she was never still or quiet, always boisterous. Yeah, definitely mischievous. That was a definite one. So very much, really, she was our little Marshall, you know, in many ways. So you know, like mother, like son, you know, in that sense. So, yeah. As she's grown older, she hasn't changed much really. Sporty side may have diminished, obviously. We know that much. But it's still very much her own person. She has her own opinions. Never shy to share her own opinions. I'm sure you all know. So yes, you know, she's very kind in sharing her opinion at times. She can be loud. We know that. A little side note. I don't know if she's actually been to Australia. I don't know if she's ever mentioned that. She might have mentioned it in passing, and you know. But so yeah, you know, Danielle, she is a bit of one of a kind. So yeah, and it's very interesting. We knew she had a boyfriend in Mark, and then really sort of brought it home to us when she was due to go to Australia. It was the May Bank Holiday weekend. It was actually her cousin's wedding that weekend as well. So we were going down south for the wedding, and we took her back up to Manchester Airport to see her off. And we knew how close they'd suddenly become when we had to smuggle Mark down to the wedding as well. So Danielle had gone down ahead of us to be one of the bridesmaids. And we secreted Mark in the car, took him down for the weekend, and we got through the whole ceremony in the church without her actually seeing him. He sort of managed to duck down quite well. Not that he needs to duck down. He did duck down quite well until they walked back up the aisle, and suddenly Danielle caught eye of him, and both of them, I think, were in tears then. You know, so the tears today don't surprise me. That's you know, it's really good. So yeah, you know, that's what brought it home anyway. So, part of my duties today, during the ceremony there, was to give her away. Glad to do it, Mark. You take her, please. Good luck with that, you know. So there you go. But no, I can't be cruel to her. She's a lovely daughter. Now, also part of the duty is welcoming Mark to the family. It does seem an eternity since he has been part of the family now. They've been together, I'm not sure how many years, 2017 was it? I think 2018. But it seems as though he's been part of the family for many years. When we first found out Danielle had a serious boyfriend, as parents, we wanted to know a little bit about him. You know, said, oh, his name's Mark. Oh, it's nice. Same as me. That's really nice, yeah. Oh, his birthday's in April. Oh, that's good. Same as me. Really nice, really nice. Found out, you know, we actually saw him. Oh, he's a bit on the short side, a little chubby. Maybe like me. But it gets worse. We realised we both had sort of medical issues in the past, as you know. We even got matching scars. Now, come on, Daniel. You know, it's great you chose him, but you didn't have to actually replace me with that much. You know, it's yeah. I think that took it a bit too far. But no, it's great. Yeah, we welcome Mark into the family. He's a lovely guy. We have welcomed him. We get on well. We do share interests. We're both interested in football. He's a red, I'm a blue. There you go. Pass on it. And he should be red for Middlesbrough, but like many people that live nowhere near it, it's a Manchester team. You've heard of them. Both like our music. He likes his rap. I'm not so sure. I'm more of a rock person, but I'll put up with it. You know, it's what it is. One thing I have drawn a line on is film taste, though. He's been to see Barbie. Great. And I'm sure, Dave, you're not sure about that one, but yeah, he's been to see Barbie. One good thing, I've been welcomed into the Oak quiz team. I don't know how much you know about his quiz team. They call it the Oak quiz team. Myself, Jamie, Mark, a few other of the friends, and you know, I've been welcomed into that. I think Jamie might have a word or two to say about that. But, we have our conflicts in some of the answers we give. There you go. Now, I have realised in speaking to them over the past couple of weeks, there seems to be, I'm not going to say it's a competition between the two of them with their speeches, but I think there's going to be a little bit of industrial language, which my understanding is, as Baileys, you're not averse to a bit of a but I'm not sure quite how insulting some of the comments are going to be, so I think all I want your hats and what have you when Jamie gets up to speak. So he has forewarned me, so apologies now to my family, just in case. So sorry, I'm losing my place here. So, you know, as a young couple, it's great to see them. They've moved on to the next chapter in their life. Obviously, they've been householders now for a few years. One day they do their own DIY, I'm sure. But in the meantime, you know, I'm happy to help, and I'm sure one or two of you have been roped into different things with the painting and decorating and the gardening, certainly with Karen. And yeah, keep buying Mark tools, but so far he's not really sure how to use them. And I know Danielle's quite demanding that she wants her work done, but you know, we'll see what happens. But yeah, so they're householders now. Obviously today they're married, which is great to see. They're moving on to a new chapter. And now the great news that we found out, there's going to be a little baby coming along, which is fantastic. Really now, they've got to step up, be adults and be responsible, you know. Maybe don't just get on the phone to each other each time you need something doing, you know, start learning, you know. So from that, you know, so I want to make a toast to them, you know, being a wonderful young couple, starting a family, being householders. I'm sure everyone is proud of them. I think they're a good match, not just in height and stature, but you know, they get on well for all the differing, you know, they do get on well. But I'd just like to wish them a long and happy life together, healthy life and some family. Cheers. So cheers to Mark and Danielle. Cheers. Mark and Danielle.
Mark and Danielle.
I haven't finished yet. That's more of it. Now there is one small footnote. bearing in mind that there is going to be a little baby coming along, I'd just like to say, if it is a little boy, Mark and Jamie, no conspiracy, I don't want to arrange marriage. Robin will be the older woman. Please, let them make their own choice. So anyway, hopefully everyone has a lovely afternoon. So far so good with the weather. Hopefully we can get the kids outside for a half hour at least to run around and get with their energy. And then we'll just chuck it out there and then we'll all go to the bar. So, yeah, that's right. Do I now hand over to you, Mark? I believe I do. So,
It's a novel.
It's Mark, isn't it?
yeah, Mr. Wordsmith.
Yeah. Obviously, first off, a big thank you to you all, our nearest, dearest family and friends, and Scott.
It's a hard time.
A day where the best part will be falling in love with Danielle all over again, this time as my wife. A few thank yous first though, to our parents. Thank you for everything. Not just in your efforts in making today possible, but for everything you have done and continue to do for us. No amount of words will ever cover how grateful we are for you. To Danielle's bridesmaids, thank you for helping her with the planning, for throwing her a brilliant holiday which she loved, and for finally deciding what colour shoes you're wearing today. You all do look genuinely amazing. Danielle, I'm practically contractually obliged to say that. Thank you to our stunning flower girl, Aoife. Where has she been?
She's hiding.
And our ring bearer, Finn. You both did a great job. Jamie, I reserve your thanks until after your speech. A few mentions for people who sadly can't celebrate with us today, although looking at the guest list, they might have been lucky to get an invite. These people have left behind some amazing gifts. They left us our parents who love us unconditionally and support us unfalteringly. Through, for better or worse methods, they made our parents the people they are today, and we can only thank them for that. So, can we raise a glass, please, for Peter, Cliff, Grandad Col, and Nana Kath. We miss and love you always. Cheers. Cheers. Get that one out the way. Cheer everyone up now. Yeah. So, on to my wife. Danielle, you look simply beautiful. Which is a good job because I wrote this before I'd seen you. I ran that one past her. Don't worry. But no, honestly, you do. And that's in person, so imagine the photographs. Danielle, you're here today because you managed to do something no other girl in my past has managed to do. And that's get all the other important women in my life on side. You started with an easy one with Sammy, meeting through work and enjoying bottles of wine together at her house. Even laughing in her face when she suggested me as a potential partner. You were obviously playing the long game. Next was Lisa, where very cleverly you suddenly had no idea about fashion and needed help and advice on wardrobe essentials and dressing for body shape. That was Lisa Hooked, a little passion project for her, which I'm sure has continued. Then on to the mother. I have to be honest, this was an easy one too. Her and my dad were just relieved I wasn't actually settling down with money. And finally, the end-level boss of sisters. The name that strikes fear into your heart, Steph. Now, the verdict was out for a while with this one, which was to be expected with her being the most fiercely protective. And I don't know where the switch happened. It might have been when you were both on your backs on the Priory Bar dance floor. Or you might have just used the C word in front of her and she thought, I like this one. Whatever it was, when I got her text through on the Siblings Shiz WhatsApp group saying, so when are you getting with Danielle then, because we're all rooting for her, I thought, well, I better marry this woman. And I'm glad they agreed with me, because I was already in love with you. We both knew it, but that was never the plan, because you were leaving. So we tried to tell ourselves, it's just casual, we'll enjoy each other's company until you go, which was how it started. We had a few drives out, beginning my long career as your passenger princess. A few walks with Monty, who, let's be honest, was the main reason you came round at the time. It certainly wasn't the comfort and warmth of Larcher Road, was it? That's how it went for a while, when suddenly, for some strange reason, we booked a trip to visit Harry Potter film locations in London on Valentine's Day. So much for being casual. And then you were gone. And embarrassingly, I cried in front of your entire family at Manchester Airport. I knew what was going to happen again today. I honestly couldn't help it. It just hit me how much I miss you. But they do say absence makes the heart grow fonder, and that was tested when you left to go to... Where was it again? Sorry, you have mentioned it. Anyway, it was proved to be true. We spoke pretty much every day, and flying out to meet you and our time there are memories that I'll keep forever. It was also proven to be true because once you finally did return, I wish you'd go back for a year. It was a testing few months. You moved straight in, and often during arguments you'd say, well, you gave me a key. And I say, yeah, so you could come and go, not so you could stay. It didn't help that it was our first experience looking after a child. We can only hope our actual child won't shit themselves quite as much.
He's going to get revenge for that.
After that, it was on to Aldenham, and I don't think we ever really put across how much that helped us, so thank you, Mark and Karen, for that. It was also the home where we first brought Marshall into our lives, and he would quickly replace me as the man in yours. You were and still are besotted with him, and look at him with such love in your eyes that I can only hope to see one day myself. I know you're going to be an amazing mum just from the way you shout, Mark, look, and I'll come running to see what's up. And it'll just be Monty or Marshall laid there doing nothing. It's the same enthusiasm that my mum will say, oh, look, cows on every car journey. And then we get to where we are now. Danielle, our life with you, me and our boys, I don't see how it gets better than this. I've never felt more at peace or content in myself, in my home, or in life in general. You've improved me so much as a person, and I am better for having been loved by you. To be fair, looking back, you meeting Samantha and walking Monty before we were together, your mum and my dad knowing each other since we were kids, the fact I found a video of you abseiling on my nana's laptop from years before we met, it does seem all along there was some invisible string tying you to me. I know it is highly probable, in the not too distant future, how we live is going to change forever. I just want to assure you, please don't ever doubt me. If it means I can hold your hand, there isn't anything I won't overcome. I want you always, whatever it takes. Now, I promise I'm near the end, but I bet some of you will be thinking, well, he hasn't quoted Shakespeare or done a poem yet. Well, fear not, I am going to end on a quote from a book. When you fall in love, it is a temporary madness. It erupts like volcanoes, then subsides. And when it subsides, you have to make a decision. You have to work out whether your roots have become so entwined that it is inconceivable you should ever part. Because this is what love is. Love is not breathlessness, it is not excitement, it is not desire to mate every night. No, don't blush. I'm giving you some truths. That is just being in love, which any fool can do. Love itself is what is left over when being in love has burned away, and this is both an art and a fortunate accident. Those that truly love have roots that grow towards each other underground, and when all the pretty blossoms have fallen from their branches, they find they are one tree and not two. Doesn't sound very exciting, does it? But it is. Danielle, I'm as excited for our future now as I was on the first day I told you I loved you. So once more, can we raise our glasses to the new Mrs. Bailey? Cheers.
Mrs. Bailey. I can't breathe.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the moment of truth. Just quickly, before he begins, can I remind you all that this man once had the opinion that moving to Spain cures cancer. And speaking of Spain, he also once asked, how many moons does he have? So, just take whatever he says with a large pinch of salt. My best man. Right.
obviously I don't want to, it's a nice tight-knit family speech. I don't want to offend anyone. There's a few jokes in there that will offend some people. But I don't give a shit. So. Okay, I have to put pen to parchment like Mark has. So I'm not a kid. Here we go. No, it is genuinely a privilege to be here to ask to do this roast today. Speech, sorry, it is a speech, not a roast. Obviously, I'd like to thank, I'll go with Mark and Mark Senior throughout the speech because that's how they're known at the quiz, kind of thing. So, thank you. So I'd like to thank Danny Dyer over there for obviously giving his speech. Mark, I'd like to thank you also, and now we'll get on to someone who can speak some actual English. Okay? So, I did do quite a bit of Googling, okay, for kind of the content of the speech, what needs to be in there, what doesn't, okay, and I did stumble across something that said, it's quite metaphorical, Mark, actually. The length of a man's speech often refers to their anatomy also. So I'd like to thank Mark and Mark Senior for getting those wrapped up nice and quickly. Very good. Very good. Brilliant. Okay. Right, so strap yourself in because mine's quite a big speech. Okay, so for those that don't know, my name's Jamie, Lunny to a lot of people, and I genuinely couldn't be happier to be best man for Mark, my best friend, and his pain in the arse lass. It is known, strap in, that is not that bad. It is known that I'm a bit of a gambler, okay? And many aspects of this speech could be a bit of a gamble, okay? Just looking around the room. On another gambling note, this is probably how I view a marriage, okay? You have two hearts, you know, king, queen of hearts. You have obviously the diamond, the ring, and then you have Mark in a few years' time will be looking for a club and a spade. So, like I say, I did actually Google what to put in a speech because I don't have a fucking clue. I apologise. I know it's like family, and I apologise for the colourful language that might be thrown. But Google does say, I have to say, through gritted teeth, I must say, Danielle, you genuinely look beautiful today. Okay? On your wedding day, okay? You do look half respectable for once. The only day I've seen you out with that bastard hoodie. It does actually say in my speech, "Bold for laughter." I don't want to brag about it. However, you know, I've got Danielle here, Rachel, today. I do have to draw attention to the person who I think is the most beautiful in the room today. Andrea. You're looking absolutely unreal. Dave, you're a lucky man. And what I'd do to be tucking that in at night. Moving swiftly on. Firstly, I'd like to thank the catering staff here at Pinchin Folk Hall. You know, they probably thought they had a nice easy shift on today. You know, tight-knit family wedding. You know, about 20, 30 of us. Okay? Then Danielle delivered the dreaded nutritional demands of the wedding. Jesus Christ, what a fucking shift this has turned into. You poor buggers working behind the bar and in the kitchen or wherever. But, you know, to the gluten-free and the vegetarians in the room, you know, you're doing an amazing job. The earth's fucking thriving. Which does remind me, on another note, Google also says I have to thank the bridesmaids, you know, Jade, Jenny, looking so lovely today as well. You know, obviously I'm making jokes, girls, I don't want any beef. Ironically, neither do you two. Jenny, thank you. Also, thank you for being here today, you know, and making Danielle's day as well. You both obviously look lovely and well nourished. Obviously, I've slightly missed Rach out there, but given the length of this speech, I'll thank you later. Now, moving on. Now, I'm sure everyone today has had a wonderful day so far. It has been amazing. The ceremony does drag a little bit, to be honest, from my liking. So yes, it's been amazing to be a part of, and obviously being chosen to be the best man. However, I know I was going to say around 50. I've wrote around 50%, but I know the majority of these people sitting in this room before me today are feeling somewhat, possibly dissatisfied. I don't know how to say it, man. Dissatisfied. Some of us might be dissatisfied. Okay? Yes. See a few nods around the room. Yes. Dissatisfied. Okay. I think the Bailey side of the wedding party did always imagine and assume that it would be me receiving that wedding ring. With the vicar proclaiming, "Mark, you may now kiss your honey." So yes, as much as we are happy for them both today, it is a bit bittersweet. So, this can take ages. So how do I have the pleasure of knowing Mark? Because it's a wonder how we became friends to the point we are genuinely like brothers. He likes spellings, Romeo and Juliet, and Harry Potter. Whereas I'm a normal boy. I like football, beers, and DIY. Mark, Senior, Dave. It's probably been a steep learning curve already for you both, but now you are officially father-in-laws. Mark and Danielle will always be there to rely on you. To build things, fix things, to screw things, and for anything that requires any fucking effort or labour. So I'm moving on to how I'll have to speak because I'm drying up. So we basically met at Lawrence Jackson School. Okay, we were in the same classes, top sets, high flyers. It was clear academia was our passion and path. I can remember it crystal clear. I was at the front of the class, furiously trying to finish my creative writing tasks. And Mark was pricking about at the back like a class clown, the big man on campus, just there for a giggle and instructing others' learning, don't really mind. And to be honest, it has actually come full circle. I can genuinely sniff them kind of students out now because it may or may not shock many people in the room to know that I'm a teacher these days. Okay, and Stephen, you can pipe down. If you got something to say, put your hand up. And I'll come to you. Obviously, I am joking, everyone. I was pure bottom sets, okay? We didn't really know each other in school. Remember them bottom sets, you know, where they wouldn't let people use glue sticks or scissors? That was the class we were in. Weren't we, Dean? Cue the thick words. Right, so, okay, sorry, Dean. So I have gone off on a tangent here a little bit. Mark actually said specifically, don't do that, don't go off on a tangent. And I quote, it's a little 5-minute speech, not a fucking half-hour set where you paid. So I knew Mark from school. He was in the form tutor group, known to many as people in the school as the Freaks, along with Michael Cook, Paul Heron and Matthew Pattison, to name a few. These chaps, including Mark, obviously, I can honestly say ended up becoming the best friends. You know, I've had some of the best times in my life, and it was always because of these lads. But like I say, we were on opposite sides of the earth, academically in different sets. But it was lunchtime that struck me to the core. Okay? He would not let me play football with him and his freak mates. This was because he thought I was too good at football, and I quote, years later he said this to me, I basically thought you were a dickhead, mate. So it was either he was too good at football or he was a dickhead. So I would say he was half right. We became friends years later, about the age of, I'd say, probably 16, 17, roughly. Mark had a prolonged change of heart. Prolonged, Mark, very good word. Mark had a prolonged change of heart, inviting me to football five-a-side. Years later, where I tore it up, scoring 4 goals and nutmegging Mark for those years of hurt for not letting me play at lunchtime. It was then we found a mutual obsession for M&M and getting absolutely shit-faced at the Middlesbrough Empire. That place really was like our second home. We soon realised after that we had a lot in common. We were kind of just on the same wavelength and started doing things together. Nights out, holidays, festivals, nights out, family gatherings, nights out, moving in together. We have got a dog named Monty, and we also had the occasional night out. Nights out. Oh, that's it. Nights out with me and Mark and my friends have been genuinely some, and I hope he feels the same way, generally some of the best times of my life. And our 20s was like, teens, 20s were, you know, incredible. One memorable night, however, ended with no food, no takeaway, fucking disaster. However, in Mark's stinking, incapable of stringing a sentence together, Jägerbomb riddled state, Mark had a light bulb moment when we got back. I remembered earlier that week there was a family gathering, Bailey family gathering, love them, okay? Earlier that week there were sausage rolls in the fridge, home done sausage rolls in the fridge. This was during the time we lived at the infamous 8 Larch Road, which I will speak about later in this speech. And yes, I did say later, I've got half an hour slot, I was told. Anyway, homemade sausage rolls, get in. However, on this evening, Mark wasn't feeling too generous. Me and our friend Jay, many of us in the room might know Jay, lovely lad, like myself, said, "You've got to share any of those 40 sausage rolls, Mark." He had the container under his arm. Mark's response wasn't particularly a response at all. His response was to run. Actually fucking run upstairs. With a whole container of them under his arm. Okay? But there was an issue. Mark had clearly forgot the state he was in. His inner Usain Bolt had let him down. On this occasion, he didn't run upstairs. Matter of fact, we'll actually never know to this day how far he did get up the stairs. Me and Jay heard a colossal thud. We looked at each other quite smugly, can't lie. Karma had dawned. Mark had stacked it. We walked to the hallway in Larch Road. Many of us know that little hallway. Okay? Mark was on his back, seemingly in pain. Sausage rolls all over the fucking place. "Is he dead?" Jay said. "Should we ring an ambulance?" No, he's not dead. He's still slamming sausage rolls into his face. So we've had great times, okay, on nights out, and then I'll jump straight to more recent times. There's no structure to this speech. Stag do. Ooh. Deafening silence. Okay. We went out as wrestlers, and I think Mark took it very seriously, to be honest. He was Rey Mysterio, for those that don't know. He was a high flyer, the one that jumps off all the He jumps everywhere, okay? So Mark thought it'd be great after a lot of shots. Bearing in mind Matthew Patterson was involved. So there was a lot of shots, a lot of drinks. Mark thought during the stag do it'd be a great idea. We've all seen a few photos of him dressed as the, it's like a Nacho Libre kind of thing. Just get bar stools. Get a bar stool, climb on it, just fucking jump off. In the middle of a bar, as you would, okay? Onto tables, jumping off, onto crowds of people, ongoers, passers-by, people out for a nice time. He thought, watch me finish these here. It was on that stag do as well, but it was a bit of me and Mark. We went to the spa. We had a cup of tea, spa. Oh, that's more me and Mark than this carnage stag do that usually are portrayed. But in this spa, there was a section, wasn't there, man? We had to take all your clothes off. Now me and Mark, no. Not for us, not for me. Okay. Until we've seen a few big men, a few fat men, to be honest. And they were walking past with. It wasn't that daunting after that. So Mark straight away was like, "Fuck these, get these off." Started walking through. Started bowling through the spa. Okay. Started bowling through the spa until. Which is genuinely very weird. We were in the sauna bit. About, I think there was 5 or 6 of us. Okay, just friends. We were sat in the spa, all naked. All having a look. All judgy. And actually thinking it's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's actually not that bad. But then a family came in, which I thought was weird. Dad came in, schlong, hanging out, and then a child also came in, who also had his little penis out. Mark soon got up and thought, fuck that, I'm not getting up stage right anymore. So, I digress. So obviously 8 Larch Road, I'll come back to 8 Larch Road. Like I said, there's no structure to this. Somehow, where love actually blossomed for myself and Mark, to be honest. Don't know how. For some reason, we invited our wives to be at the time to this place. Now this was once a lovely family home, and I mean no disrespect. But what it became under our tenure was nothing short of poverty. However, give us credit. I was at university, and Mark was smashing 4 hours in a week at Top Man. And in his role, what he still does proclaim today to be as manager of shoes. Manager of shoes. We'll move on. You know those houses that have, looking around, there's a few old people in here. They have the key cards for electricity and things like that. Larch Road was one of those, okay? One evening, poof, lights have gone, TV's gone, fucking disaster. This was around 6:30 at night, in the winter. It wasn't that bad, just come to shop and Mark put his hands on his knees, a big sigh, and then says, right, I'm off to bed. He'd rather go to bed than go and put some electricity on. There was also another occasion where we had, I don't really know why, but there was no hot water. Looking back, this was fucking tragic. Mark, rather than seemingly pay the water bill, opted to boil the kettle, fill a washing up bowl, take it to the shower, let the water cool a little bit, he's not a maniac, and then bathe in the mud. So as a friendship, I can honestly say we've been to rock bottom. Flannel washing in a boat, and just saying the day's done when the electricity runs out. But, that was long, isn't it? But Larch Road was the epicentre of our nightlife, believe it or not. Boys, our gaff, 6 p.m. onwards, weekly, sometimes even nightly. Larch Road has gone down in history with a lot of our friends for some of the epic parties and the best place to start before a night out. Now, we all know Danielle's bossy, grumpy, and somewhat even scary. A stern look my way often made me shudder with fright in the early days. However, there are times where I feel for her little Mark, genuinely, and she knows probably what I'm talking about. I do know the pain. I wouldn't say I'm OCD, neither is Danielle particularly, but we just like it clean, is all. You know, a bit of normal hygiene. So it's often a thought of mine that Mark may have been better marrying Rachel today. As the pair of them feel that it's so necessary to leave their wet, stinking towels on the floor. Dirty clothes, empty shampoos all over the bathroom floor. A pair of fucking scumbags. Now, some of you may not know, but Mark was quite the player before Danielle barged her way onto the scene. However, Danielle was lucky enough to be invited to the Larch Road. Say lucky. It was also clear why she liked Shrek so much, to be honest, and why potentially love unfolded. So, Shrek is a delightful character who's politely plump, relatively unhygienic, is Shrek, and he's often cynical at the world, Shrek. You know, doesn't really get along with the world. And to be honest, he's happily to live in swamp-like conditions. And he was always accompanied by his donkey, which was either me or Monty. The point in which I knew I'd lost Matt forever was when this banshee decided to visit this banshee instead of coming with me to a gig. It was a gig in Leeds. It was a 10-year anniversary of an excellent album. It was huge, highlight of the year. Me, Mark, and a couple of friends. But Mark had no intention of going to this gig, despite buying a ticket. Even weeks prior to the gig, Mark had emphasised excitement to attend. What a bullshit. This was lies. Poppycock. Bullshit. And on the morning of the gig, he's a no-show. Apparently, he's on a flight to Australia without my permission. The man was dead to me. He's gone AWOL. If you go to Australia instead of this gig, don't fucking come back. The Aussies can have the pair of you. Is exactly what I didn't say. It's a good job I didn't say that. After a few days, I genuinely wanted them both back. More Mark, I must say. But I was happy they both realised that they should be an item. However, there's one glaring issue, which we all agree with. They came back with an unbearable love for Australia. Who actually ever knew that these were the only two people to ever go to Australia? It was all kangaroo this, coral reef that. If you ever do see a couple on the Saltburn beach eating shrimp with a can of Foster's and waiting for the surf, rest assured with these two gnarly fuckers. But you know, it's their thing. All couples have their thing. You know, the special bonds, the memories. All couples have them. So yeah, it's their special thing. So we must all forever pretend to actually give a shit. Nod in agreement and say things like no way when they tell us that story about a fucking boomerang again for the 100th time. This next section is basically just me. Going to be giggling at stories about the ventures that we've been on. Now, there's probably like hundreds of these stories that I could tell. Me and Mark, we've just had a laugh. We make each other howl all the time, no matter where we go. We are basically hilarious. The Ant and Deck of Gisborough, as once Mark proclaimed. So, there was one time where we went to see Eminem. There was a mutual love for Eminem. We waited at the front for 9 hours. Okay? It was chucking it down. It was in a foreign country. It was only Ireland. But it was still in... Hang on, I'm on landscape. It was in a foreign country, okay? And we stayed in a place called Drogheda, which was nowhere near the venue. So much so, I Google mapped it, Mark, about 4 days ago. 3 hours and 23-minute walk in a foreign country. Now, after the Eminem gig, we were high on life. Probably one of the greatest days of my life. If Mark says otherwise, he's bullshitting. We decided to walk home. In tears. We tried to ring a taxi, and apparently there was none in Ireland. I don't know if that's an Irish thing. There was none in Ireland. There was no taxis. No people would take us home. Mark even put his crocodile tears on and asked one of the local police. We couldn't get home. We literally couldn't get back to the hotel or whatever the hell it was we stayed in. 3.5 hours away on foot. So we walked it. We had to walk. Luckily, about halfway through the journey, a taxi went by and pulled over. There was 2 people in it and just said, "Are you going to so-and-so, so-and-so?" This happened to be our hotel somehow. And we just said, "We've come up smelling the roses there." Me and Mark always seem to do that, okay? Apologies, that's not really a joke, it's not really funny, but it's just the way we roll. It always seems to happen. We've also been to Budapest. Now, we went to a 7-day-long festival in Budapest. 30 degrees was the minimum, okay? We went into this festival and we thought, yes, we'll get the drinks in. There's girls everywhere. There's drink everywhere. I bowled up to the bar. He says, where's your ticket? Where's your little lanyard on your arm? I had no idea what he was talking about. I had £10 in cash. Apparently we couldn't buy anything. And that day we weren't allowed out of the venue to be let back in. However, Robbie Williams was on at 9 p.m. We were there at 12 a.m. 12 p.m? 12 p.m, yeah. 12 p.m. until, yeah. We had to grin and bear it to see Robbie. This was a moment that me and Mark refused to miss. Okay? We had no food, no drink. Mark was on dialysis. Literally, he was on dialysis in Budapest every other day. Every other morning he went to Budapest. We seen Robbie and he sang Angels, and we just cried into each other's arms. On another evening in Budapest, Mark was even in a worse state, despite the fact we actually had a band this time. We could buy water, we could buy food, we could buy what we wanted. Mark was on his hands and knees, 30-degree heat. We were passing out. Mark was on dialysis. Mark was genuinely on his hands and knees, and I took a photo. He was gasping for air. I knew he was on dialysis, and I thought, shit, we've gone too far this time. What am I going to tell his mum and dad? But I did say to Mark at the time, there is a band coming on. It was Major Lazer, for anyone that knows. We don't particularly like them really. They were big at the time and they were on. So I said to Mark, I know you're a bit ill. I know you've got health problems. I did say I'm going to get a drink, I'm going to get 2 cans and then watch this band. And Mark's response was, don't forget to get me 2 cans. Then we went to Amsterdam. Oh God. When we stayed in Amsterdam, Mark had promised we were staying on some sort of Rosie and Jim super yacht. When we arrived in Amsterdam,
Sorry, Randy.
When we arrived in Amsterdam, we couldn't particularly find our boat. We were walking past the dock, we were walking past all these amazing yachts, and I was thinking, oh Mark, is that ours? Is that ours? Like a child. Mark pointed and said, that's ours. Oh, come in. State of it. Got on, and there was no real check-in. We were in a foreign country. Me and Mark don't board well in foreign countries. We don't really know what we're doing. We wanted to check in. Check-in's a normal thing, okay? The man said to us, what? We were stood there with a suitcase each, and he said, what? Apparently, this was Dave. Dave said to us, there's the PlayStation, there's the breakfast for in the morning, and there's our hamster. Me and Mark looked at each other. We were a bit shocked. What the hell has Mark booked? And then we got to the room. The room... Mark opened the door of the room, and the door wouldn't move open any further. And we were both thinking, what the hell's that stuck on? Turns out it was the bunk bed. Behind that door was a sink, and that was our stay in Amsterdam. That was all we had. That was an absolute shit show, so well done for booking that, man. I've also been to Hamburg. We went to Hamburg for the first time, it was beautiful, stayed in a nice place, wonderful. Mark wanted to stay in the more carnage side of Hamburg. That's where we met Jens. Jens was our hostel host. This was in what can only be described as the red light district of Hamburg. We pulled up to the hotel, no one was there. It was just a cage door under an arch, and we had no way of getting in. A van pulled up, which was very strange. A man practically fell out of the van, grabbed his crutches, started hobbling along. And he said, "Is your name Mark?" Jens took us up kind of a spiral staircase with what looked like, do you know them green boxes outside your house and then people open them and it's full of electrics? It just looked like that. We were walking up, yeah, whatever it is, the internet thing. It just looked like that. We were dodging sparks, okay? And Mark got the uncontrollable giggles. Mark was laughing in Jens's face. Luckily, this was kind of during COVID, Mark has his mask on, and I had to say, Mark, you're genuinely being rude. He's telling us where the coffee is, he's telling us how to get in. Mark was being genuinely rude. He was laughing so much at the shit show that he had booked. Now Mark, hear me out. Google says I also have to say a few nice things about you. All the jokes are done. You generally have made me become a better person. Who would have thought you'd be married with a house and 2 dogs? I'd also have a wife to be and a daughter, looking back at what we've been through. From the age of 16, you probably unconsciously moulded me into a better person just by being your friend. It's a privilege to be your best mate. It's been a privilege to know that my family has your best interests, and likewise, it is a privilege to know your family and my family have our best interests. In fact, every time I go around my nana's, she still always asks how you are before me. For me, that is, that's the friendship we have. That's what makes it so good. A lot of the best times of my life have been spent with you. I feel like and hope you feel the same, that my role has probably been to help you keep having the fun times, the good times. Despite your health issues you've faced over the years, the countless times I've drove you to the hospital or visited, the amount of times I'm sat there waiting for you to get off dialysis. We've still done everything we wanted to in our teens and 20s. We've gone through all that, and not let it hold you back is what makes you. That's what genuinely makes you my best friend, not only my best friend, but honestly my hero. So, Danielle,
You've set him off.
So, Danielle, Mark, now that you're married, I hope you'll still keep in touch with me, Rachel and Robin. You're married. We love doing things with you and never want it to stop. The three of us one day, hope you all have a family of your own, and we can do the joint family adventures together that all your sisters get to do. You're both made for each other. You have the right balance. Mark's extremely fun. And Danielle's sensible. Danielle organises Mark. Danielle, sensible, that's the word. Danielle, I know you will enjoy being part of the Bailey family. As you already know, his sisters,
Is that me?
that time done. As you already know, Danielle, his sisters, I would probably consider them, I'd class them sisters of my own. They've always taken care and looked out for me and Mark over the years. And it's vice versa. I would do anything for a member of the Bailey family, which now includes you.
Okay.
That's not to say Mark, Karen, Jade is Mark, Karen, Jade. Sorry, she's leaving your family only in name. I'm sure. Lost myself. Only in name. I'm sure deep down she'll always be a Rogers to you. But you can rest assured from myself, my family, and the Bailey family, Danielle will always be looked after, loved and cared for. Sorry. Does everyone have to stand up now? I'd like everyone to be upstanding. Please, if you wouldn't mind. You can say something. I do apologise for any offence caused during the speech. Okay. For this last bit, I can't lie. I've learnt from the best. I've learnt from the best with this last bit. Mark Senior, as you've always told me at the pub quiz, it's okay to Google just to confirm something. So this I can confirm, that you don't marry the person that you can live with, you marry the person that you can't live without, which is what Mark and Danielle have done. So I'd like to raise a glass to Danielle and Mark, and I hope you smash the rest of your life together. To Mark and Danielle. Thank you, everyone.
Well done, Lon.